Shabbat Shalom. Last week, my mother sent me a video of my two kids from 2 years ago that she found to be wonderful and wanted to send it to me. And in this video, my two kids are in the bath, and my son Adiv is asking this big question. He says, what is going to happen when everybody in the world dies? Without missing a beat, my daughter Shalva, at the time 5 years old, says, I have an answer. After everybody dies, our whole world will be filled with God and no other world will be built. It's a good answer. And in fact, it's very much in line with what our Parsha this week talks about, because our Parsha Breshit is about the beginning, but the second you start thinking about the beginning, you're also thinking about what is the purpose of life right now, and you're thinking about where are we headed with all of it. And this story about our beginnings, the fall from the Garden of Eden, which is so central to our understanding of the world, not in its literal sense always, but in what it means to be a human being. And my favorite interpretation of the story of Adam and Eve and how they lived in unity at first with God, and then they came to a place where they no longer were in unity, and God gives them a curse. From now on, you're going to experience suffering and pain, and you're going to spend your whole days laboring, be living in the dust of the earth. It says, telling us something about what it means to be a human being, and that there's having consciousness and the sensitivity of consciousness, that there's something that we all go through in the difficulty of this world. And the suffering that every human being goes through, there's no way to avoid it. But there's something within human beings that feels, there's a part of us that just doesn't quite belong in this cycle that we have to go through here. Illness, life, death, heartbreak, the terrible pain human beings cause each other. So the part of us doesn't quite belong here. And so the way our tradition imagines it is that we didn't belong here. We came from another place, and we came then to this world. Instead of living in unity, we're forced to wander. Instead of feeling love for each other, we're embroiled in jealousy and strife. We're brothers and powerful emotions that pull us away from each other. We all end up feeling both joy and fear in the world. And one of the most powerful symbols for this dichotomy of how we experience life in this story is that when Adam and Eve are banished, God gives them, because they finally have consciousness and they realize that they're naked, and so God gives them garments of skin. And the word for skin in Hebrew is or, which is the same word as for light. So the Midrash says, well, what happened in this story? They exchanged garments of light for garments of skin. They went from being in a spiritual place to being in a concrete place. And yet, what does this story then teach us from how we live today in this world? And part of what it teaches us is that our purpose is to try and get back to that state, however we can, to try and get back to a place of love, to get to a place beyond the suffering and beyond the toil of this world. And so all of the Torah then becomes a manual for how we get back to those bodies of light, through doing good deeds, through creating kindness in our world, through reaching out to the infinite, the universal consciousness, through uplifting others of inspiration and encouragement, through building understanding and wisdom of our world to be able to transcend our lot in this world, to bring light in all those situations where we feel that there is evil and darkness. And so in that sense, we become the vehicles for bringing humanity back to that place. And that one of the great innovations of ancient Judaism was that until Judaism came, all the other ancient religions of the Near East believed that life was cyclical. Everything never ends. Worlds are formed, universes are formed, and then they end, and then you start all over again. There's no purpose. But Judaism invented the idea that life begins someplace, we're going towards a goal, and that goal is peace, that goal is love, and that goal is light. And so Shava, in effect, she was right from her place where she said, what will happen when the last person dies? The world will be full of God. And that's so we imagine that this very world can be turned into the Garden of Eden, but it's up to us to how we do it. And that even when we see the world and it's not looking like the Garden of Eden, then what we have to do is not stop until our task is fulfilled. And part of why we read this, why we read the Torah every year, we go back to the beginning, so that every year we can start again that journey within ourselves, how each one of us can be an agent of bringing some of that light into the tohu vavohu, the primordial darkness and emptiness that existed before all of it, how we can uplift our fellow human beings and one step at a time bring all of creation to that vision of unity and light, interconnectedness and wholeness. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.